Okay, before anyone starts freaking out because you see the word test on this packet, I just want to confirm and let you know that this is not a test. This is just a practice test that we're taking so that we can get better at answering some of these questions. Your 6 weeks test is tomorrow. We're going to go over a few of these questions. We're going to be jumping around, so just make sure that you actually catch up and do the ones that we do together, because at the end of the class period, everything that we do in class will have to be turned in to the sub, and I will collect that as a grade. So please make sure that you're writing everything down. You may press play or pause, or the sub may press play or pause if I'm going too fast, or if something needs to be repeated. The sub can always go back and rewind the video a few seconds before. So let's go ahead and just start with part 1, which is vocabulary. Vocabulary. The whole point of vocabulary is basically to get all of the points as possible that you can. There is no reason why you should be struggling with vocabulary, because you can use process of elimination to get down to the actual answer. So what I always like to do is I always like to go through the ones that I know how to do first. So for example, I will probably say A, a flat surface made up of points that extends indefinitely in all directions. Now realize that sometimes some of these definitions are not exactly the same definition that we talked about in class. However, they are very similar definitions. So the only flat surface that we've ever talked about in geometry so far is what? It should be a plane. So I know that for 3, my answer is going to be letter A. And I'm going to go ahead and cross that one out. Another one that I think I'm going to go through is C. It says it's made up of points with no thickness or width and extends indefinitely in both directions. So something that goes on forever and ever in both directions, we've only discussed one thing in geometry, and that is a what? That is a line, correct. So that is going to be B. So I'm going to cross that one out. I'm sorry, not B. I made a mistake. That's going to be C. So I'm going to cross C out. All right, another one that I'm going to look at is probably E. A measurable part of a line consisting of 2 endpoints. 2 endpoints. The only thing in geometry that we've discussed with 2 endpoints is a line segment. So number 6 is going to be E. Cross that one out. I think I know F. A line, array, or segment that divides an angle or segment into 2 equal parts. And that is bisector. So 15 is F. I also know G. 2 angles with measures that have a sum of 180 degrees. That is supplementary. Good. So that is G. Cross that one out. H. A location with no size or shape. No size or shape. That one's a little bit difficult, but keyword is location. No size or shape is also another key set of keywords, and that is point. I. 2 lines that intersect at a 90-degree angle. We call those perpendicular lines. So that should have been 14. J. Points that lie on the same plane are called coplanar. That is J. Let's do L. A line that extends indefinitely in one direction. So it's only one side that goes on forever and ever. And the only thing that is going to be a ray. M. Two angles with measures that have a sum of 90 degrees. That is complementary. N. Points that lie on the same line are collinear. O is interesting. It's the intersection of two rays at a common endpoint. Let me draw that definition out. Here's one ray. Here's another ray, and they have a common, that's a very crooked ray. And they have a common endpoint, which is right here. What did I just form? I formed an angle. So that is actually O. So 8 is O. Cross that one out. So now I'm left with just a few that are giving me some trouble. So let's see. Two angles that share a common vertex and side. Two angles that share a common vertex and side. Let me draw that picture out for you. Here's two angles. They share a common vertex. This is the black dot. And they share this side. So we call those adjacent angles. So that is 9. D. Adjacent angles that are supplementary. Well, here we go. Let's look at the same picture here that we just drew. These are adjacent angles, yes. But the ones that are supplementary, they also form 180, and we call those a linear pair as well. So 13 is D. And so we're left with the last one, which is K, that we haven't done, and that's 10 vertical angles, which makes sense. Congruent angles that are across from each other on intersecting lines. Here's a picture of congruent angles, of vertical angles. Intersecting lines, those are the crossing lines, and they're across from each other, and they are congruent. Okay, so K is number 10. Again, go through the ones that you know how to do first and that you know are for sure correct, and then figure out or try to figure out the other ones that may give you trouble. But vocab shouldn't give you any trouble at all. All right, let's continue with the next part. All right. Name 2 points collinear to point D. Collinear means points that lie on the same line. So here's point D. 2 more points that lie on that same line are points E and F. 2. Give another name for line P. Here is line P right here. Another name for it. Let's go with the easiest one. This is how you draw the notation for line, and we'll just go with line A, B. 3. Name the intersection of line R and plane K. Plane K is this whole plane right here. That's why it's right here in the corner. Here's line R. Okay, the only thing that goes through that point is point X. Remember, when a line and a plane intersect together, they intersect at a point. Number 4, name a point non-coplanar with K. So here's K. Keep on getting crooked. K is this whole figure right here. Okay, that's much better. And anything outside of that is non-coplanar with it. So we have two possible answers. We have point W or another one, which is point Y. Either one of those was fine. I want you to turn to 15. If the video runs or stops, there is a second video. So just go ahead and let the sub copy and paste the second link into the website and set up the second video just in case it stops. 15 says classify angle 1 and angle 2 using all relationships that apply. So angle 1 and angle 2, first of all, form 180 degrees. So that means that they are supplementary. Well, angle 1 and angle 2 are also a linear pair because it's a pair of angles. What does pair mean? Two angles. So I have two angles and they form a line. So they are also a linear pair. And they are also right next to each other. I'm going to outline it for you. It's a little crooked, but you get the idea. And that means that because they are, let me just do it again. Here's angle 1, and let me do angle 2. And they both share this common side, and they also are right next to each other, and that is also an adjacent. 16, classify angle 1 and angle 2. The only thing we know about angle 1 and angle 2 is that they are vertical angles and that they are congruent. We don't know if they add up to be 90 degrees. We don't know if they add up to 180. They don't form a line, and they're not next to each other. So the only one that you're left with is vertical. All right, my video is about to stop, so I'm going to go ahead and stop here so that I can start a fresh video in the next 15 minutes.